Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, episode 178. I'm Mike Mylan, also known as Cashflow Mike. That's my friend and my partner and co-host of Mike and Blaine, Blaine Birch. What's up, man?
Did you hear me sing along at the end?
No, did you say something? You didn't mumble the words like you did last time?
I sang along for at least one small line in there. Anyway,
at least you know one.
Sure,
at least
no
you know
one wants
one.
to hear that. So, all right, 178, kicking off.
And I tell you, the topic this week is what I'm hearing on the news every single minute of the day. It doesn't matter where you go, it's about audits. And it's not necessarily about audits by the IRS and your tax returns. This is other things. So I actually did an audit of my own business today, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, because I was surprised, even myself, nice. Just running my own business. So, but let's drink some beer. What are you drinking today?
Today, because it was all about the business checkup and trying to find those things that you're kind of missing. So I picked Wayfinder Secret, which is a dark Czech lager. It looks like a stout almost, but it's not. It doesn't taste as quite as heavy as a stout. But a beautiful can, and Wayfinder makes some really nice beer. They're out of Portland, Oregon. So, great little brewery out there.
So instead of a checklist, you have a Czech lager.
Oh, there's another angle.
Dun, dun, dun.
the Czech lager. All right.
Oh, that's so dumb. That was so dumb. All right, so Pat brought me down some beers. I texted him. I was like, hey, you got any beers for the podcast? So he brought me down some. And it's a perfect fit for doing audits, and quality control and those type of things. So he's got keg beer. That's what he does. He kegs his beers and keeps them on draft. But he's now bottling, right? He's got his own labels. This is
nice.
The, what do they call it? Yeah, Neighbor Pat's Irish Red. But I want you to look at here is the quality control. Look how one of them's kind of almost full like a regular beer. The other one's not quite as full. Labels are kind of skewed, little messy, little goofy. So we don't have quite the quality control process down at Neighbor Pat's.
It's those little fine touches that make it craft and personal.
There we go. Yeah, very good though. So I'm excited for it. And there we go. We're gonna have an Irish Red by Pat. And I'll tell you what, Pat is one of our beer sponsors, right? He's one of our beer sponsors, been around for since the beginning. Mm-hmm. And beer sponsors is really what kind of keeps this thing running, believe it or not. That helps us pay for the hosting, our hosting fees. It helps us pay for some of the little software, the website, that type of stuff. It's not a lot of money. It's $5 a week. It's the best $5 you're going to spend on your business, because we'll talk about you. We'll talk about your business. We've had just individuals. So don't think about you got to have a business and this is a commercial, because we talk about the other Mike Mylan. We got another beer sponsor, Devin, right? Devin is the biggest LSU fan in Baton Rouge, and he has been sponsoring us now for almost a half a year. So super good guy all the way around. And who else is on our list?
Well, of course, like Rachel Barnett I think she was the first one this year to jump in for the entire year. Like, just jumped in. I'm doing all of 2025. Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog. If you need to know how to use QuickBooks, which honestly, if you have a small business, you're likely using QBO, go talk with Rachel. Go to gentlefrog.com, and most importantly, go to YouTube at Gentle Frog. That's her YouTube channel, and you will find a ton of videos showing you exactly how to use QBO and help you run your business.
Yeah, another corporate sponsor we got is Karen Hairston over at 3S Smart Consulting, 3ssmartconsulting.com. She is a ClearPath to Cash certified professional, so I can vouch for her personally that if you need to find hidden cash you think is leaking out of your business, contact Karen Hairston at 3S Smart Consulting. So
thanks
super glad.
And guys, really appreciate it.
And she did the whole year too. She goes, oh yeah, I need this.
did the whole year. And you know, Mike was talking about all the valuable things, you know, like the web hosting and all the stuff we have to pay for. But most importantly, beer.
We had to buy the beer.
And so yeah, much appreciated. So if quick ask here, guys, like if please follow, like, subscribe, and if you'd like to be a beer sponsor, I said $5, we're going to talk about your business. It'll be evergreen. It's going to be on all of our different channels forever. Go visit mikeandblaine.com. You can buy us a beer there, right there. Quick click, buy us one, buy us 52 for the entire year, whatever you want to do. We would really appreciate it.
Hey, you know what else has happened? That if you're a local brewer and all that, you could just send us beer, right? You could just send us beer, you know, contact us on the website. We'll give you an address, send the beer out. I mean, I had one from New Braunfels. She drove beer over to me. Just drove over a case of beer, says, hey, talk about us this month. And we did. So lots of options to do business with us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right on. So, so I went to if you haven't heard the show before and you're like, oh, where the hell's this thing going, right? All we've done is talk about beer and people will buy you beer. But this is Mike and Blaine. It's business, beer, and BS. So we talk about a business topic. Today is about business checkups, right? Things that you should be auditing or taking a look at in your business on a regular basis because things just kind of slip. They kind of leak. The business, that's the business part. Then we got the beer part. And the BS part, right? The BS is just sometimes we ramble, sometimes we go off topic. Like it was Courtney's birthday yesterday, so we went to the rodeo and saw John Party last night. And John Party, a country music artist, and man, I had a good time. But if I'm low energy, it's because I spent all my energy at the rodeo last night.
I saw the pictures online that you had gone to the rodeo, and but when you said you saw John Party, I just thought like you just saw some dude named John Party out in the corner at the rodeo. So, well, all right, fun. So I had never heard of him. So I guess I'm not up on my country music, I guess.
Yeah, and it's Pardi. And I think he's from California. He's got a Texas country style, right? Almost with a Dwight Yoakam type of voice. So it's like true Texas country with a Dwight Yoakam voice, and Dwight was from like Kentucky. John is from California, so it's a real cool mix of everything that fell together for him, I think, in his career. Yeah. So, all right, so let's talk about this checklist thing. Let's talk about what happened. I'll tell you where I got to that. I mean, first of all, you know, if you can't turn on the news without them auditing everything and finding what they call waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, sometimes that happens in your business and you're not trying to waste or commit fraud or abuse anything. You just take your foot off the gas a little bit and things just kind of pile up, right? And create bigger problems. So I was doing an audit because I've changed my packages and the way I price and package and bundle things over the last 3 years. I should go back and just kind of look and see, you know, where people are at. And I did it for a couple of reasons. One is to clean up my CRM, my customer relationship management thing, where maybe I had some different tags now than I used to have, or I didn't have automations back then that I do today. So some older folks didn't get, you know, caught up in that automation process. So I just went back and looked, and I found a handful of people that haven't paid any money since 2023 and still have access. And I look at the last activity log, and they're accessing stuff as close as 2 days ago, right? So you're like, almost a year and a half, 2 years of just free service that you wouldn't see, right? That you wouldn't see normally because you're not just paying attention to user logs every minute. It's just one of those things that I wouldn't have caught if I wouldn't have went through this process.
Yeah. And you know, there's a good chance that they don't even know it because they probably haven't gone through that process either. Just don't even think about it. Don't even know, you know?
Yeah. Or they go, oh, that was the best value I ever got. I only paid one time and it's lifetime forever. It's, I don't know. They're probably sitting there in their office like going, I don't know how Mike makes any money. He doesn't charge me anything to use this stuff.
What's 2 years ago?
How the hell is that cash flow, Mike? He's not getting any cash flow. But it was an interesting exercise, right? And I found probably 5-6 people that were in that situation that got on the earliest of early packages, and it just never shut off, right? Never shut off because it hadn't got swept up. And it's probably one of those things where when I changed packages, I didn't want to disturb the old one. So I kind of left it running and then but it wasn't collecting money anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So just dumb on me.
Yeah, it's and you know, when you find these things, like when I find stuff like that, it just drives me nuts. I'm like, how could I have missed that? How could I have been, you know? But there's 1,000 of those things in a business, so it's so easy to have something fall through the cracks, because you're looking at, like, you notice it's payments coming into you, but then there's also all of your payments that you're sending out. Is it the stuff that you need to send out? Do you need to pay for all of these things? There's some of them you're not even using anymore. But it's not just money though either. It's like, you know, in driving here, we regularly do like security audits. We do all of those types of things there's a lot of things in a business. Like I said, 1,000 things that can kind of go wrong. And it's a good idea to throw it in the calendar, because a lot of times we do it a little bit too ad hoc. Personally, sometimes I do it too much when, just like you, I find something and go, oh shit. And then you start going and digging, pulling on the string. That's not the best time to do it. You probably want to schedule some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, I can remember, and since I brought up the word fraud, I worked with a client about 2 years ago, and I said, hey, let's just kind of look at who we're paying and what's going on. We actually found fraud that was occurring in this auto repair shop. And I gone, because the bookkeeper had created a fake vendor, right? And the fake vendor was getting a check every month, and it wasn't a lot. It was like $1,200. It was like, you know, something that in this repair shop, because they got large amounts of money that go out for parts and these type of things. They got accounts with different parts dealers. So $1,000 wasn't that big to them. To me, it's big, but to them, it wasn't that big. And it had been going on for almost, that we could see, 3 to 4 years. So think about that. Now you're talking $60,000, you know, over the course of 4 years or so, 4 or 5 years. With that in mind, you know, I'm like going, how did that happen? Well, it becomes legacy after a while. You're not looking at it as the business owner. The bookkeeper's doing it, created a fake account. And the way we caught it was an audit of the employee files. Just, hey, do we have this? Do we have that? You know, all the required things. We're just making sure we had everything for an employee file. And one of the employees' address matched the address of the vendor. Guess who? Yeah, guess who? The bookkeepers.
How would you catch, like, in a way, like you would have to have seen that address recently and been able, like, to be able to connect, even make that connection. Why would they use your same address? Like, it's a good thing a lot of criminals are dumb.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. I think she was thinking that if there was ever mail sent out, that it would go to her and not to, you know, some random person, and they'd get a letter and going, hey, how come I'm getting this from you? You know, or something like that. So I think it was so she could stop any type of things that happened. The way he caught it was, you know, she'd been there for 5, 6, 7 years or something like that. And he goes, hey, I know so-and-so lives on, you know, I think one of our employees lives on, you know, Timberwood Street. I make up a name. I don't remember the name of the street, but because I think, you know, Betty, and I'm making up another name. I think Betty lives on Timberwood Street. And he looks up, the employee's address and goes, oh shit, this is the exact same person. Then we had to figure out, you know, how long it had been going on, how much it was for, what she was doing. And she was just subsidizing her paycheck when it came right out to it.
And now she's doing 5 to 10.
I don't know what, yeah, we turned her over to the police, right? Or the, you know, the prosecutor. I think they did something with the prosecutor, but it was one of those things where who knows how long that would have went on, right? Because it was such and such auto parts was the fake name of the vendor. The address was her address, so she could backstop anything that was coming through. And, you know, and she was writing the check, right? Went to her, went to her. Yeah. Well, and then I think that was it too, is that she actually had her husband's name on the check. was the name, right? Not the vendor was such and such auto parts, but the check was written out to her husband's name so they could cash it.
Yeah. Honestly, it feels a little bit like a little laziness, like, because you can imagine, like, if she had just used a PO box and like had a little like made up a
You're like,
name or something.
I can help you commit better fraud.
Yeah, don't learn from us. No, I yeah, but like that's the thing, is it's eventually something will slip them up. I think most of the time, hopefully, but
yeah, well, I always look at it like this, right? I mean, you've heard of like Kaizen. Right, you know what I'm talking about? Like, all right, so back in the early 1990s, Toyota started this continuous improvement process, and they called it was a Japanese term called Kaizen, and it was just always looking at every process and seeing if we can improve the process, and what they were able to do was cut operational costs and efficiencies, reduce choke points, those type of things. They just absolutely got so focused on process that it ended up doubling and tripling their bottom line. Just because they were like going, that's a wasted step. We can do, the way they set up their manufacturing plant, the process, the line, the timing of the parts, right to left, everything like McDonald's does too. You've seen the movie The Founder. Have you seen that?
I don't recall seeing that. No.
All right, so the movie The Founder is with Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc, right? Who's kind of known being one of the founders of McDonald's. Well, it was the McDonald brothers that had the original hamburger store, and they were focused. They were, both, and one of them was like an engineering mind, and went out to a tennis court in the movie, and they mapped out where all of the things were. Right, where the fryer was and the griddle and all this type. They just mapped it out on the tennis court, and they brought their employees out to the tennis court and practiced doing orders. What was the movement? What's this? And he goes, "Oh, we have to move that because these two people hit every time they try to sack the fry and the whatever." I mean, there was all these points where they saw there was friction in their process, and so they would redraw on the tennis court where the fryer was and spaced everything out to scale and just practice order after order after order until there was no friction, or at least the least amount they could get. And that's how fast food was born. So they could get things out faster.
That's how a lot of angry tennis players were born too. When they show up, like some guy throwing hamburgers at them. Get out of here. We're busy using your tennis court for something else.
Yeah. So what's the last thing you've audited, or was this kind of a reminder to go do something?
The last thing I've audited, like I have recently gone through just like expenses and that, and trying to see like what are we missing? What are we paying for that we maybe aren't using as much? Like, I try and do that sort of regularly. Like I said, we do try and do a regular audit, but sometimes it is like, it's a little bit of something happens. We hear something happening to somebody else on the security side, and then we go, good reminder. Let's just double check our security. Do we have two-step on everything? Do we have this? Do we have that? Who has access here? That's another really big one. And every time I hear of usually it's a friend or a friend of a friend that got hacked, we're like, oh, geez, let's just go back and do a little audit of who has access to what and what, and how we have these layers of security, and it's just good practice. There's no guarantees on anything, but it's definitely outside of dollars. That's where I would encourage everyone in businesses to really look at their, especially online security, and make sure that they're on top of all that.
And did I ever tell you I wasn't quite hacked, but my payment system was used to test stolen credit card numbers. Ever tell you that? And
No.
this is like, if you're listening right now and you have something like this, I just, what I ended up doing was discontinuing the product or raising the price. But what they'll do is they'll scour the internet for a product out there that's like $1 to $5. And then they'll run like in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes, they ran 824 transactions through my payment system. And it's like at night, it was like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. My time, they ran 800 and some transactions at $5 because I think I had a product at $4.95, or something like that, you know, a downloadable product for $4.95. 800 some transactions hit within a 10-minute or a 2-minute period. Boeing Credit Union had gotten hacked of all these credit card numbers. And what they did was somehow wrote a bot. You can't key them in that fast. So somehow they just went 800 of them all the way through to see which ones worked. Believe it or not, none of them worked, right? So apparently Boeing had already shut off all of those credit cards knowing that they got hacked, or Boeing Credit Union. So it didn't work. But still, they came across and were on my record as fraudulent use, high risk transactions, and that hurts your rates and everything else if they think you do high risk transactions. So to avoid that, what they said is try not to have products that are that low of price, because that's what, you know, they use them. And all the transactions originated in Venezuela, right? And you know, so all of them were from Venezuela at the time. Crazy, huh?
It's scary, and it's like, man, how do you'll never keep ahead of all of it, right? So it's just do your best to have as much security as you can and limit access. Like that's one of the biggest things is just limit access. It's like a very much a need to know basis with everything, because that's when you have the bigger the team, the more access points, the more there's just an opportunity for someone to get like make a mistake because it looks legit. A lot of these guys that are getting access, they look legit, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we had kind of a similar thing came in with all this spam, like from Russia, until we figured out that how to be better. We had just one out of maybe 5 different forms on our website. One of them didn't get the reCAPTCHA, right? The Google reCAPTCHA put on the form, because it's like a setting. And whoever created the form, I'll just say me. I don't think it was me. I know it wasn't me. I know exactly who it was, but somebody didn't set the setting to add, you know, our Google reCAPTCHA to it. So as these bots scour the internet, they're looking for places where they can get in and spam you with all kinds of craziness. So you get all these weird requests through a contact form.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a contact form for a while, and it was just like, that was bots every day. Even with there's always someone getting through it. Of like, oh, we just took it off because like it wasn't worthwhile for us to have it at all.
I don't get it anymore. Ever since I went back and changed that form, we don't get it anymore. But man, that's one of the things I make sure before it goes live, any of them, because it's just a pain in the ass. Because we also had email notifications set up, so I know if somebody submitted something. Well, guess what? You know, when a bot hits you, guess how many emails you get? However many they can throw at you before you stop them. Yeah. So that's been crazy. So, you know, I was going back to like bigger businesses that do this. I mean, even Starbucks did this chain of supply chain audit and ended up saving them, I mean, I think almost $1 billion in just either fraud that was committed by buying stuff that they weren't getting, or rates were being charged that weren't according to the contract. And that happens a lot where, you know, you have an outdated contract and, you know, you're charging rates from 2019 because you've never changed your rate, even though it allowed for increases in the contract, right? You know, some of those set and forget type of contracts, it says this will automatically renew. Well, if you got things that will automatically renew, that's okay. But if it also has automatic increases, do that too. Right? So
it's never ending, right? But from a small business perspective, like the place to start is your dollars. Go through your bank statements, go through your credit cards, and see what's in there, because it's so easy to miss things that are you're just not using anymore, or they've ratcheted their prices up, and it's auto renewed and all that kind of stuff, and that can get, I know, pretty infuriating actually, to be honest.
How often do you look at your subscriptions?
Well, I look at them, this is where I check really generally through our credit card statements and bank statements, but I still miss stuff. It's so easy to miss stuff, right? And it's the auto renewals that get me, because they some companies are really good about it, and other ones, you could just tell they're like, let's be as sneaky as we can. And they don't email anything. Right. And you have no idea. So it's hard to stay on top of that stuff. It really is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 11, almost 12 grand last year in subscriptions. Is that crazy? I mean, 12 grand. So, I mean, and you have to think about, okay, do I need $1,000 a month? Right now, I couldn't even tell you. I know the ones I do need. I do need the ones that control the app, right? Who's hosting the app and the websites, and definitely need those. But I think I remember, some of the stuff that's in my website, I don't know that I'm even using it anymore. That I originally got a subscription for, right? Like, I'll just buy this plugin or whatever, and it's always an annual renewal. There was one that I kept missing every year, and I'm like, I need to shut that down, and because it would hit like for $400. I'm like, going for the year, and it was like 2 years in a row I missed it. Before like, oh shit, and there's $800 out, and I just never used the product. I forget what it was. I think it was like Visme or something like that. I think I used it twice, but it hit me for $800 for 2 PDFs that I had to create. Like, it's just like, oh, damn it. It's just one of those things that you got to look at. Well,
and it's so hard to, especially when it's annual renewals. It's like 12 months later, like you just don't remember, right? And
that's right. Yeah, you're saving the 2 months. You're saving the 2 months, but then you forget about it. It might cost you another 12 months.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just realized last night we have Paramount Plus. That's private. That's on one of my. I noticed on my card. I'm like, what the hell? I canceled that. Apparently, it didn't cancel. It didn't go through, or I just totally forgot that. So here we've had Paramount Plus for probably the last year and I haven't watched anything. So we're well, I guess we've got it. We might as well watch Frasier.
Yeah. Hey, don't you get pissed when you can't find cancellation button?
Oh yeah, no, it drives me batty. But you know what bothers me more is the auto renewals when they don't notify me, when they don't tell me that something's coming up. Like and there's no way around it. And that bugs me. Like I would like to see, what I'd like, what credit card I would move to almost any bank that has a business card that would actually let me authorize, like approve repeat payments. And maybe let me go, okay, this one I will allow, and I'm going to put an endpoint on, notify me. And other ones, when the renewal comes, it's like, yeah, we're holding it till you give approval. And I want approval. Text me on my phone, whatever. I want to be able to approve some of these because it drives me batty that I don't have control over that at all. It's so frustrating. And, like the stuff, like there's nothing wrong with auto renewal. Like, man, how annoying it would be to have to pay every single freaking subscription bill, everything, every single month, go down to the bank to pay. I understand that. But there's ones that I'd like to be able to, as soon as it comes through, it's like, text me and say, hey, do you want this one to auto renew until this date? Like I could put that in, right? Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you're relying on some of these services, ultra fine print. And they I swear there's been a couple services after I've paid for them. The receipt didn't come in for like 60 days or something. And of course it's past their window or their 30-day window. Like there's a lot of sketchy shit, I think, that goes on. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. So, in small businesses, I think you see less fraud, probably less abuse, especially if the owner's really involved with the checks and stuff going out. But I don't know I can say the same thing about waste, right? Because I think there's a mentality in the small business owner's mind that says, "Yeah, it's my money. I can try it. I can just do it." Where normally, if you had an employee, you would probably say, "Nah, we don't need that." But when it's you, you're like going, "Yeah, I'll try it." It's so and so, or it's worth a shot. Where you'd probably be a little bit more diligent if there was an approval process.
Yeah, I don't know. When you look at some of the big corporations and government and that, the amount of waste that they go through, literally just to justify the budget they get every year. Like you get to near the end of the budget year and they'll buy every piece of garbage they can just to make sure that they can justify their budget so they get it next year. So the amount of waste there is epic. Like,
hey, well, I think I mentioned it on here. You know, I had a client up in Kansas City where we did just an expense control audit, right? Just going through what he spends money on. And there was a $3,500 charge every year for the last 3 years. And I kept saying, hey, why do you pay so-and-so when you also pay this CRM? It was one CRM. He had two CRMs. I said, what do you use the second CRM for? He goes, oh, that was the one that we had before we got Service Titan as his new one. And he kept the old one because he couldn't figure out how to export the data and he didn't want to lose it. It was $3,500 a year. We're talking $9,000, $10,000 now over the last 3 years on a product that he didn't want to use. I said, well, how often have you went back and looked at it? He goes, oh, no, we haven't, but it's there if we need it. I'm like, wait a second. You feel better about spending $3,000 for something that you've never needed, you know, when you're doing everything. And it blew my mind that his thought process was, I was afraid to let those records go. Well, now they're three-year-old records anyway. Yeah. Somebody can help you figure out how to get this out. And matter of fact, when we opened it up, I went, oh, right here, it says export data.
Export. Yeah. There's almost guaranteed something easy there.
I'm pretty sure what we did over the last 10 minutes was a lot better than a $3,000 bill that you get every year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, and that's the thing, like that waste and everything comes in. Sometimes it's especially in small businesses, there's sometimes it's because you don't have the experts and you don't have the understanding. I think in bigger businesses, it starts to get the bloat, and it's just kind of the opposite. It's, like I said, there's just people given a budget, making sure they use it, making sure they spend it. And some of those bigger businesses, you could imagine they probably have hundreds of thousands of dollars going through a year that is completely unused, just completely unused, because it's probably even harder when there's multiple departments and department heads and managers and everything to actually keep track of what's being used versus what isn't.
Hey, if that happens in our small businesses, as small as they are, it's no wonder they're finding it at the government level. It's no wonder, right? And the best excuse that I got for that is people just don't care. They're like, oh, no, that's just... Nobody was questioning. Nobody was asking a question. So it just continues to happen. Let me tell you what's happening in my household. Something that I had not seen happen in a long time. I have an 18-year-old that lives here who is almost pulling straight A's, right? Going into the semester, she is getting the best grades. We haven't even had to keep up with her on, is your homework done? Did you get this done? Did you turn this in? We've had to do that almost her whole high school career. We don't have to do it at all anymore. And she is crediting it to Magic Mind. She's crediting it to taking these shots before she goes to school. She's just dialed in, focused all day long. And I don't know, I've never seen her this focused on schoolwork before. So this is one of the most amazing transformations of a teenager I've ever seen. And I've had 4, right? So like, this is the first one that I'm like, going, oh my God, that's all we had to do was buy Magic Mind. It would just go. Well, what's been your experience? Why don't you tell them about Magic Mind, how they can get it?
Well, Magic Mind, okay, they've been a valuable sponsor. This is our 6th week. This has been awesome. They've supported us for since actually the middle of January. So, and right now, you have a limited time offer where you can get 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Just use the code BEEZBB20 at checkout, and look in our show notes. We're going to have it all there, and you just claim it at magicmind.com/BEEZBB. So again, check the notes below. You can get some great deals from Magic Mind right now.
Right on. I tell you, stuff tastes good. Those little hugs, it tastes just like the little hugs to me, and it's just a great product. So if you haven't tried it, and they got 2 different versions of it. I've slept better when I've taken the ones that can improve your sleep, and I'm more dialed in when I take the one that gives you increased focus. So Whichever one you need. It will help you sleep. I guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, Magic Mind. Appreciate the support.
Sorry about that. I was dialed in like, I think we're done now. And I did not hear you say that. All right.
I did say, but I kind of think now I know what my wife goes through. So I think you actually even agreed, but I think you were doing something at the time.
Oh, okay. Well,
I know what your wife goes through and mine.
We should audit our our sponsorship process because
I've got it all right here. Actually, I write notes. It's funny. I've got a full thing here of notes on dates and everything. So anyway.
I'm just the talent. I need direction.
Yeah, I'm the unfortunately appointed producer, I think. So.
You are the producer. I mean, think about all you do for this show. I mean, you produce it. You upload it. You put it on YouTube. You put it on everywhere. You get it live. You run the whole show. You are the man.
No, I just have a little. I cut it, throw it online. That's my part, man. That's fine.
Yeah, but you also do those clips, those shorts.
And I do the shorts. Although Riverside, our recording platform, well, I'll give a little plug. It actually does the shorts. It's you have to do them, but it's easy. It's really, they make it painless. So I appreciate some of the technology that we've got to use now. Where a few years ago, when we first started, it was like Zoom or everything was different, and now there's a lot of help with some of the automation. So it's really really handy stuff.
Have you tried any of the AI video stuff? Video, audio? Have you tried any of that?
Only the stuff that Riverside does for editing, but I haven't done anything else from that. So no.
Well, what's interesting, right? So I picked up probably part of that $12,000 I spent every year in subscriptions. A HeyGen, HeyGen. HeyGen is an AI video generator. And then I tried it with the voice, right? Using, letting an AI, I would just put it, because I tried, I'm like, can I create a video that I don't have to do anything? Like have AI write the script, I type the script, or I copy the script, put it into HeyGen. In order to get your movements and all that type of stuff and to see who you are, you upload video of yourself, either 30 seconds so you get different looks, or you can put in some longer form ones, and so it gets more movement. So I did that, and I got like 6 different looks, if I want to be dressed up or I want to have casual look or whatever it is, or a different background. And then when I tried the audio, I'm like going, that doesn't sound like me at all. Like, people are going to know right away, like, that's not Mike, right? So I found an AI audio generator. It's called 11 Labs. And I took a 40-minute presentation I did for some conference. It was on video. I uploaded that into 11 Labs, and it dialed in my voice to I'm like, shit, did I say that? I don't think I said that. But it dialed it in yeah, that's me right there. Now, here's the thing. When I combined them, because I could export the file out of 11 Labs and put it in HeyGen. So take their video and this audio, and when I put it together, I'm like going, the only way I can tell it's AI is the eyes have a funny, goofy little movement. You could probably tell if you didn't know me as well. You'd like, I don't think, or you would know. You would just go, yeah, Mike did that video. So I could see where like movie stars are like going, oh shit, they don't need me. They could have better than me, right? Because it can be done instantly. Yeah. So I produced 8 videos, and we'll say an hour, 8 videos in an hour, and uploaded them into my help center for the app. Like, shit, that's because there I really don't care. I'm not trying to sell. I'm not trying to, I'm just saying, here's how to do this, right? Here's how to do that within the app. Yeah. And they're part of the help page of the knowledge base. I'm like going, that really is pretty good. That's pretty slick. Because, and I try to keep them at 2 or 3 minutes each. Just here's what this is doing. And then the rest of it's text. Yeah. But worked out well. Have you played with this at all?
Not with those. Like I'm comfortable doing video and recording and cutting it and everything. So it's habit. I just will do all of it myself. I did try, and like, I guess I'm a little skeptical of some of it too. Like it does, I did, I tried one of the photo things where, cause I thought, oh, maybe should get a new headshot for my LinkedIn profile or whatever. And I don't want to go find a photographer and sit down. Like, so I tried one of those services where they'll do like 100 photos of you, take photos of you, upload them, and then they'll make a bunch of photos and they'll put you in different clothes and different backgrounds and everything. And it didn't look like me.
Oh, it didn't?
Like, it did a little bit, but just enough to be kind of creepy. And then when I showed the team, I'm like, hey, what do you guys think of that? And it's like, who the hell is that guy? Like they just went, nah, this is weird. And it did not, it didn't do a trick. And like, I took a lot of photos, including, ones right from my laptop so I could adjust the light and do different angles and everything. I uploaded it all. Just kind of looked a bit like me.
You know what it's not good at? I tried one of these. It's not good at teeth. I can almost tell from the teeth if it's AI generated or not. I don't know what it is about teeth, but it cannot figure that out.
Yeah. None of it seemed right with me. But see, like a person's face is like so, like that's where you look when you're talking with someone, right? Like you pick it up right away, and it looked like what I would say is like maybe a relative. That's what it kind of looked like. It was maybe a relative, but it was weird and creepy and did not look like me. So it was strange. It was really strange. So I haven't played with anything since then. Definitely haven't done anything with video or audio. But if we find the need though, like it'll be worth playing around with,
All right. So in 2000, on Wednesday, sorry, I'm going back to the topic. Okay, in 2006, I bought the first bar, right? Because I was having the cash flow problem, with the hotel staffing company. I thought if I had a company that generated cash every day, it would at least help. It was my thought process. It would help. I wouldn't have to go use the line of credit as much. I would at least have something there to kind of help. Well, I was doing a group meeting this week and showed people some of the things that I did to manage the bars on a daily and weekly basis. And it showed them how I kept track of things over time so I could see patterns develop in charts and things like that. Well, one of the things somebody pointed out instantly, they say, listen, your sales doubled in about 8 months, right? The first 8 months. And they want to know why. How did you do that? How did you double sales in the bar in the first 8 months? I said, we got to remember, I bought it from somebody else. And the reason I chose to buy this one is because I started to be a customer there for the first 3 months before I made the purchasing decision. I'm like, this one's for sale. I'm going to go just look. And I found the waste, the fraud, the abuse, right? The owner was never there. I saw him there maybe 2 times in 3 months. The manager that was there was grifting big time, right? Sales weren't hitting the register. Product was going over the bar. She was actually, every week, one of the vending guy would come in because they had video games and pool and those type of things. So he would come in there and take the cash out of these video games, and they would split it 50-50 because the guy with the vending company, right, would put the things in there. And that was his lease. 50% of the revenue went back to the bar, right? And then he got the other 50%. And he maintained all the gear. Well, if she would get $500 or $600 from him for the week, she would turn in maybe 200 of it. Right? It was that type of stuff. And I said, I didn't increase traffic count because this is a place that had been there for 30 years. It was well known. It's just not a lot you can do to get more people to come there, in the first 8 months, outside of maybe my friends started coming there, but that's not enough to double sales.
Yeah.
I said, but here's how I audited the staff. I said, the first day I walked in with a new POS system, right? So now they had to learn that, which is harder to commit fraud. What they had before was, remember the credit card slips? It goes, or they had a cha-ching, the drawer come out. They were ringing things in like an old style cash register. Got rid of the cash register, got rid of the paper credit cards. That increased it just there, right? But I also brought in a brand new camera system. He didn't have any cameras in his place. So this is 2006, and I outfitted with cameras that I could access from anywhere, right? And I had cameras on the doors. I had cameras over the registers. I had cameras, where I thought it could just be bad things going on, right? So what I was able to do with this camera system at the time is I could print off, and I would do it the very first 2 months, 3 months. About every other week, I would pick one employee, just one. I'd pick one. We'll say, hey, I'm going to look at Blaine's shift from Tuesday night. So maybe you work for 6 hours, right? We'll say you work for 6 hours. I would pull your sales report from the POS. I would sit down and watch at like 8 or 16 times speed. I could watch 6 hours in like an hour and a half, right? Or something like that. I could go through your whole shift. And I'm not trying to be exact. I'm just saying every time I see you pull out a bottle of beer, I would do chicken scratch marks, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as often as you poured, I didn't look at if you poured Jack Daniels or tequila or gin. I just said mixed drink, beer, 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 beer. And my hope is that it turned up somewhere between 13% variance or less, right? And I never told them what my variance tolerance was. Mm-hmm. But what I would do, and after the first 3, all that shit stopped. Because they would look at my group this week. They go, oh, Ashley got fired. Oh, then Penny resigned. Oh, then Jennifer got fired. Like, going, yeah. You see what happened? Because I would come in, it was like 1 for you, 1 for me, 1 for you, 1 for you. It's just like 50% of the bar was going over the bar for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when you show them, say, hey, I got this video and I watched your shift and you had, you gave away 110 beers, but you only rang up 50. Right. So I say, okay, where's the other 50 beers you owe me for? Right. And then all of a sudden I'm going to say, I'll give you a choice. You can resign, be fired, whatever you want to do. Because I look at that as stealing. Right. Because I bought the beer. You gave it away.
Is absolutely stealing. They owe you money. And they got away with it, quite frankly.
But that was one of the things that the previous owner never did. Never checked on it. I think all he had to do was come in and sit in his own bar for a whole shift, and he would have saw it.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever did that.
They would be on their best behavior the second he walks in till the second he walks out, and then it would be free for all. So those cameras were incredibly valuable, right? So,
well, think about it. Back then, nobody was used to being on camera. And it's not like I hid them. We hid one, right? I hid one that was like almost right at the cash register. I mean, right above, up in the ceiling, straight down where I could see what hands went in where the cash was, right? Because right underneath that was the safe as well, right? So I could see both of those things. On a hidden one, where the other one was like off to the side where I could see what was going across the bar, right? On both sides of the bar because it was a U-shaped bar. Mm-hmm. That one thing, that 1 hour doubled my sales. Think about that. I mean, just 1 hour now over about 5 or 6 times. And then after it got known that that's what I did, I only had to do it like once a quarter just to let them know, hey, I still do this.
Yeah.
Right. So, and sometimes I'd pick a good shift, right? Knowing that, okay, so-and-so is really honest. I'm going to do that one so the word gets around that he doesn't just pick on people.
Yeah.
Now, I'd give him a bonus. Say, hey, here's $100. I appreciate the way you worked last Friday night. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, maybe I can get the money that way. Because in their minds at the time, they could make more money on the tips, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, you're actually thinking about it wrong because most people, when they start to drink, they tip on the total. You tell them it's $20, they're going to forget that you gave them $60 worth of stuff. They're going to say, oh, $20 is my thing, and they might give you 10, where if they tipped on 60, you might get more than that. Or if you pour too heavy, that person that might have drank 5 drinks now can only drink 2 or 3 because you got them drunk too fast. and now they didn't spend as much money.
Yeah.
So it was like changing the mentality of the dollars actually come from the total, not from your giving free product away.
Yeah. Yeah. Just makes me not want to ever own a bar. It's brutal.
I think they said that one of the statistics is 3 years and you get burnt out. I mean, you just get burnt out because it's the same problem day after day after day after day. And I say problem because that's what it is. Anytime you just mix alcohol and people, there's somebody mad at somebody. There's somebody that cheats on somebody. You're in the middle of every single problem that comes into that building. Whether it happened in your building or not, it could have happened at home, but he's going to come bring his attitude from whatever happened at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't sound fun. I know restaurants are like a challenge in themselves. A bar seems like another entire level of complication that gets tossed on top of that, right?
Yeah. So I did it 6 years, almost 7 years, 7 years, 6.5 years. And mainly because, I'd been a state trooper. So, talking to people in hard situations wasn't difficult. You just get tired of it. I'm like, oh, man, there's got to be a better way to make a living than this. Just always dealing with somebody's misery, right? Because I went from state trooper to that. For the most part, I had a couple years in between. I didn't, but yeah. So very cool. All right. So final words. Did we learn anything? Did we talk about anything? Final words here on?
I think it's just a reminder. Like we covered so many areas with dollars and fraud and security. We didn't even get into a lot of security stuff. It's just a really good reminder where risk is in your business, and risk can cost money, but risk can cost all sorts of other issues too. So, a little bit of due diligence goes an awful long way. Like you said, once you set it up, you set up the new systems, you knew what was happening. And then once a quarter, you just had to take a look, and that was at the bar there. So it's just a good reminder. Stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah. I think, and believe it or not, it was the news that reminded me, says, I should take a look at some of my stuff right now. So, even though the news is usually bad, today it was a reminder, and it may have saved me or made me some money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's well worth the time. And well, thank you guys all for watching. Please, I'm going to ask again, please subscribe, like, follow, and go to mikeandblaine.com, and you can buy us a beer and be one of our new beer sponsors for 2025 to join this terrific group we have starting off the year.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.